Welcome to the White Knuckle Podcast with your hosts, Jason Science and Dr. Clint McCoy.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the White Knuckle Podcast. Today is episode number 36. I double-checked that before we started. Clint, are you impressed?
I am, really.
Welcome, my co-host Clint McCoy down in Illinois. What's shaking in Southern Illinois today, Dr. McCoy?
It is hot and it is dry, and guys are a few farmers are out cutting beans. A lot of beans have turned, some of the early plant stuff. Some guys are out cutting beans. Saw a couple guys out shelling corn already, so it's getting there. We've opened in another couple weeks, the first October, so just kind of laying back in the weeds and waiting right now, doing some trail camera scouting work and some long range distance recon, maybe over some freshly shelled fields or cut beans or what have you. Yeah, that's kind of where we're at. I'm starting to worry a little bit about EHD. It's been crazy dry here the whole month of August. We got a lot of rain toward the tail end of July and the first week of August. The rest of it up until now been pretty dry. So we're starting to see some some buzzards flying over in different spots, and we're just kind of keeping our dukes up. We had a bad year for it last year, so I don't think we're past the velvet peel enough to maybe not have as much this season or what have you, but we won't be safe until first frost. But anyway, that's where we're at. We're just waiting. You guys are going though, huh?
Yeah, we're on day number. Let me just count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have that many fingers, so 6. Day 6 of
what the hell takes so long
of the season. I know, right? I've been hunting that new lease we've got, and that's one of the things I wanted to ask you is how your food plots are doing. I've been hunting my new lease, and I spent a considerable amount of time this year planting food plots. We got on the phone with Don Higgins late in the year for planting food plots. He told us what to do. That's what we did. The deer density is just so high, they just mowed it off. And then I planted Deadly Dozen once, got 6 inches of rain on a Tuesday night. On Wednesday, I knew it was supposed to rain again on Thursday, just a small chance of a nice shower that next night. So I went out, replanted Deadly Dozen, 5 food plots again, got 6 inches of rain that night, and replanted it 2 more times, and it's finally just the sun's finally out. It's like 55, 60 degrees here today. It's going to grow, but so I haven't done shit out there, to be frank with you about it. I haven't done anything out there because everything that I have done, which is very little scouting, has been revolving around, hunting those food plots early on to kill those 100 does that they want us to kill. So yeah, I haven't done anything to make you proud. I can promise you that.
Our plots really, our Gen 2 beans are astoundingly good. They're really, really good this year. We planted them right around the 4th of July with some wheat stubble along with some of our double crop ag beans here, and they're literally side by side one another with a big bare strip down the middle that we kind of left open. Mm-hmm. And they look as good as ag beans as, you can't tell difference. They're chest high, and that's even fairly late for bean planting, that double crop date, but they look
right.
Good. Our fall plots have been kicked in the nuts about 3 different times, like yours. We got a pile of rain toward the tail end of July, and you never want to complain about being wet in July, but and then it just completely dried off, like hardly a drop from the maybe the first week of August, and
mm-hmm.
we planted them about like they should have. The plant date around here, we followed it to the T, but it's just not a whole hell of a lot of moisture to be found out there. and some weeds are starting to come up in them, but we're just going to leave them be. It's getting too close to the season, really, for me to be
Right.
retailing them and that sort of thing. I probably could get it done, but I've got other stuff going on that I just can't do it. It doesn't look bad. It just needs some water on it bad.
Yeah, our beans in the utilization cage, our Gentile beans are probably hip height in the utilization.
Oh, yeah.
Inside the fence, and then outside the fence, they're about 8-9 inches tall. It's amazing how Mother Nature can do that so perfectly.
It does. They do a good job. I went down and looked at the pods that are on ours, and they're pretty damn good. You know, growing up around the farm my whole life, you set them side by side. Ag beans that are planted the same day, and it's no sales pitch. They're freaking huge,
right?
And that'll give you a ton of late winter option there,
right? Well, yeah, I mean, it's been a struggling, trying year for food plots. So the Deadly Dozen is coming out of the ground great, especially the wheat and some of the other grasses and stuff. And the brassicas are small, but some of the plots, I'm in blow sand, so I mean, water's good, but it just disappears fast. So, but regardless of that, let's get on to the show, and that is with a guest who's been waiting patiently for us to stop yammering on, and that is none other than Mr. Jared Larsen from Onyx Maps. How's it going, Jared?
I'm doing great, Jason. How are you and Clint?
I'm well.
We're good, dude. Glad to have you here.
Yeah, I'm stoked to be here. Jason, it sounds like you're potentially in Wisconsin. Is that correct?
I am. Not potentially. I'm absolutely in Wisconsin. I mean, potentially I'd like to stay here as long as they'll let me, now that we've given away my location.
Yeah, I'm actually from Wisconsin myself. Grew up there, and that September 15th opener usually rings pretty true to home for me.
Really? Where did you live in Wisconsin?
So I actually grew up in Waupun, Wisconsin, kind of south central there.
What?
About an hour north of Madison. Yep.
I grew up in
had a back.
Friesland.
What's that?
I said I grew up in Randolph, Cambria, Friesland.
Oh, geez, yeah, we were neighbors about.
We were. You're not Dutch, are you?
Yeah, I definitely have some Dutch in me.
Me too. All right. I was really pissed off, but
no surprise.
For whatever reason, prior to my dad passing away, coming up on June of next year, it'll be 2 years. They had always told me that I was 100% Dutch, so I was really proud of that because over there, if you're not Dutch, you're not much, right? And then they broke it to me that they had been lying to me all these years, and I really wasn't 100% Dutch, and I don't know what percent Dutch I am, and none of that really matters, I guess, with this conversation. But nice to know that you're from so close. Yeah, you didn't go to CWCHS, did you?
I didn't. No,
okay.
I just went to good old Waupun High.
All right, cool. We can trust you then.
Well, I'm glad that's the determining factor.
That's Clint. Sorry, man. There's a whole joke behind that, but I'm not going to go any farther than that because I know a lot of those folks listen.
Probably.
Anyway, so you move from Waupun, you go out west, and now you live in.
Yeah, so now I'm in Missoula, Montana. So yeah, a little bit of my background is grew up in Waupun there. Had a back 40 at the house I grew up in. Had a little pond on it, so the backyard was basically the Horicon National Wildlife Refuge, which is the largest cattail marsh in North America. So abundant opportunities to chase deer, ducks, turkeys, the whole nine. Fortunately grew up with an old man and some uncles, brothers, cousins that all did the hunting gig. So grew up kind of ingrained in it all. Pretty much as soon as my dad deemed me capable of hiking the mountains with them, would make annual trips out west to Colorado, Montana, whatever the state was, to chase elk. Just through and through generalist. And then actually attended college at Iowa State University purely to get resident deer tags, as one of my uncles married very wisely to my aunt, who her grandparents homesteaded 400 acres in western Iowa. That's just a white-tailed deer mecca. I'm not sure there's a place that I hold more sacred on the planet. So actually, I just got my first Iowa tag this year after graduating college back in 2017. So excited to head back home for that. But yeah, came out to Missoula, Montana for a job with OnX upon graduation, and started on the customer support team, helping folks, learn the ins and outs of the app, get themselves set up for some success for the fall, and eventually was able to move my way over to the marketing team, at which point now I lead all whitetail strategy from the OnX side of things, and work with all of our whitetail partners. So it's a good gig. It's a good spot to be. I still find myself up in a tree stand certainly more days than I do on the Elk Mountain or anywhere else. It's kind of just what I love to do, but still definitely a generalist. And as I kind of told you guys before we really started here, headed back to the Elk Mountain this weekend. Probably go get my butt whooped for the third consecutive.
Really? I was just telling Clint before you went, before we got you on the line, that I am flying out Saturday morning. At this point, that's the plan. Saturday morning, to film an elk hunt in the Panhandle of Texas. I've never heard an elk bugle. I've seen them. I've heard it's
in
exciting.
The Panhandle of Texas?
Yeah.
They have elk?
Yeah.
News to me.
I said the same thing when they told me we were going to, but I found it on the internet, so it has to be true, right? And they said it's not high fence. Actually, I saw Melissa Bachman did a show from the lodge that we're going at, and I can't honestly tell you, Clint, I said that I think she's going to be there. I don't know that she's going to be there or not going to be there. Regardless, I'm going to be there. So we'll see once what happens. But I'm told it's really good. It's really good hunting, and whatever. I'm not going to get to pull any other trigger than on my Canon camera, but yeah. So I'll get my first experience hopefully with a bull screaming in my face.
Heck yes. Yeah, I mean, there's not much else like a bull screaming in your face. I really love to harass I'm completely surrounded by quote unquote Westies out here at the office.
Sure.
And I always give them a hard time that an elk is just a big turkey with a nose, which I somewhat, believe to be true. It's very similar hunting styles and strategies for the most part, but the fact that they have a nose and can wind you really makes them a heck of a lot more difficult to kill than turkey. Not to mention, they also live on a really large playing field that they are far better at running up and down than anybody I know.
Absolutely. I would agree with that. I mean, it sounds like fun. Clint, have you ever been?
Oh, no, man. I've never. It's one of my bucket listers. I have not done that yet.
You shoot a booner on film this year, and I'll pay for your hunt.
Hey, don't. No, wait. This year?
Next year. No, you shoot one this year. I'll pay for your hunt next year.
Okay, that's
a deal.
Yep.
You know what, guys? I forgot to hit record. You're not going to be able to hold me to that.
Yep. Now, any weapon, anything goes.
No. Wait. Let's call it bow hunting only.
No. That's not going to work for me.
I don't know. That wasn't in the original agreement. I think that's
You're right. You're right.
Verbal contract.
Verbal contracts are binding in the county of Marquette, Wisconsin. So I guess we're good. All right, fair enough. I'm in. You go get it done. Legit. Not a. It doesn't have to be a net boon. It just has to be a gross boon.
Ooh, I like those. That's good. I like that.
Yeah. I was gonna say that significantly increases your odds.
It does.
It does.
Well, it's
Definitely
not like
does.
I don't try and take care of these guys, Jared. The stuff I do for them. I can't talk about some of it.
Somebody's got to
Well,
do
I mean,
work.
I was gonna say, shoot, we've been on the phone for 7 minutes, and you're already offering up elk hunts. So I might be moving on from OnX and trying to get under your umbrella.
Don't quit your day job. No, don't do that.
Clint, did you get your bow?
Yeah, dude, I'm actually heading to the shop up at Bowminton Boys up in North Central, or I should say Central Illinois. We're gonna go up there and have them set it up tonight.
Cool. I know.
What are you shooting?
Go ahead.
What's that?
What bow are you shooting?
The Expedition MX-16, little longer axle bow this year. We're kind of switching that up a little bit. I've been shooting really short stuff here the last, I don't know, 3 seasons, and they're great bows. Any of them, those shorter axles are great for tree stand hunting. They're awful goddamn critical, or can be. When it comes to torque and stuff like that. At least I feel like they are.
Totally.
So. But at any rate, we're gonna go do that tonight.
Cool.
Heck yeah.
I've heard, they're a partner of ours, so obviously we like them. Otherwise, we wouldn't have gone with them. But I got to spend 2 days with. I want to say the guy's name is Kurt Headington, who would be their Expedition Archery's general manager. We weren't together because of that. We were meeting for a different reason, and I was pleasantly surprised with the plans that they have for the future, and they're sold out for. They gave you a 2020 bow, Clint. I saw.
Yeah. Yep.
Or 2021 or the new bow, whatever it is, whatever. Anyway, he's always he gets taken care of.
I totally screwed that up.
Anyway,
for me.
What?
Yeah, I can hear you, Clint.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, dude.
No problem. Were you out of the truck? You don't have to tell us. He's probably, you know what he's probably doing, Jared? He's probably sitting on a field somewhere. Even though
he should be. That would be the wise move to be. You might as well do something productive while you have to be on the phone with us.
Right.
I can confirm that. I'm in between truck hammer checks. It's too nice to not.
Heck yeah! Well, how are the trail cameras looking? You got one of them booners to earn you an elk hunt?
I can confirm that. I just got this morning. I checked maybe half a dozen or so, and definitely a new buck that's showing up after velvet field. I haven't seen him or heard tell of him all summer, and he's definitely kind of migrated into this spot. I got like 6,000 pictures on this one camera, kind of on a random field edge, but there were like, for every one buck that were on there were probably 150 snaps of does and fawns. And like he just started sniffing around that area like, just in the last 5 days or so. So I think maybe he's just checking in on an old doe bedding area, and he'll come back or maybe satellite it before the rut, or he'll definitely come cruising through that corner during the rut. I'm almost certain of it. So now we just sit back and wait.
Wait for the rut.
Yep.
Heck yeah.
Good plan. I like it. Well, let's talk about OnX. Well, actually, first I've got one quick question, Clint. How do you like the Tacticam versus your other experiences with trail cameras, cellular trail cameras?
So far, so good. I'll be the first to tell you, I'm super critical of cellular cameras. And it's, this is not intended to be a bullshit sales pitch, but where I live is really spotty hit or miss come cell service, and most of the timber that we hunt is really spotty. You might have great service in one area, and the closer to the east of the river you get, it's just terrible. And it's long and short of it, that thing's antenna seems to find the signal really quickly. like when you're going to set it up, and its trigger speed is, I can tell you, its trigger speed is pretty damn good. I've gotten a couple of really heavy, big horn bucks around the bedding area with it already so far, and it seems like it's holding its own. I can't complain about it at all. It's done what it needs to.
Cool.
So, Clint, are you running am I getting this right? It's the Tacticam Reveal cell cam?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Its price point is incredibly friendly.
So far, if it keeps its performance up so far, for its price point, it's gonna sound like a sales pitch, but they'll take over the market share. It performs really good, or it has so far for me.
What kind of subscription plans do they offer? Fairly reasonable ones?
Pretty standard.
Standard.
I think, Jason, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they've got 2 or 3 tiers.
Yeah, I think there's 4. $5 a month. Maybe there's 3. You can do $5 a month for X amount of pictures, and then there's another level, and then I think it's $13 a month. I don't know if this is correct or not, but I think it's $13 a month for unlimited.
That's correct.
And then I just paid the $120 for the year. Obviously, being a partner of ours, they gave us some data to use. They had so much trouble getting us cameras because the response was overwhelming. I went down to Cabela's because I happened to be there when the owner of Tacticam had just posted on Facebook that he was at the Cabela's in Prairie du Chien, and they were stocked up. So I went right there and bought 5. And then eventually I got some like the other guys did. And I think Clint's estimation is spot on. Jared, it's
one thing I really like about it is like how it sends photos. Like it seems to send, and I don't know this to be true, but it seems to send, I don't get a bunch of blanks, like it'll send like on a 3-round burst, it'll send the middle photo. I think that to be correct. But it's not sending you every single one. If you're doing a 3-round burst, it'll send one out of that burst. I think if that makes sense.
Yep.
And
interesting.
It's done. Yeah. And so I think what that'll do is cut down battery use, trying to send every single one over the airways, and trying to find service and stuff like that. I think if the technology is there for it to really do pretty well, I think
they were smart.
Yeah, I just pulled up their website, and I just kind of got myself into the cell camera game this year, and Tacticam wasn't even on my radar. But I bought a camera from another company at a similar price point. One of them entry level cell cams, and I can't tell you how brutal the experience has been with that thing. I paid $150 for it, and I'm ready to just throw it in the garbage can.
Same. I've had several, and sometimes price point doesn't even necessarily, with cell cams, in my experience, doesn't necessarily even dictate performance. I've got a couple that were really steep when they first came out, and they were just so doggy and slow. Like I wouldn't walk across the street if they were giving them away. But I'm pretty impressed so far with that Tacticam as far as it's super easy to set up. It was idiot proof. They've got one of those little scan codes for your phone and bingo, you're in. Like this is genius. It works really, really well.
Jason, as you were saying, the $5 monthly plan, I mean, for a guy like me, a younger guy that just hunts mostly public, I don't have, outside of my family farm in Iowa, I don't, out here in Montana, I'm just running around to different chunks of public, but shoot, I can afford $5 a month. And frankly, most of my cameras, I'm not getting anything north of 250 photos per month. You boys might have just made me spend a little bit of money.
Oh yeah. I think
good luck finding one.
They're a good investment. They're kind of, Yeah, people are hard. They're hard to find. I feel like cell cams.
Yeah,
you either really need one.
Sorry about that. I was just saying, yeah, they are.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Clear sold out.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I just stuck that the Tacticam, the mine that we use. The very first place I stuck it was and it's still there. Is in a really tight, this crappy, nasty, thick, like thumbnail patchy cover that's like maybe 3 acres at its most. It's in a big island of corn though, and it's got a little water source in there with it. And man, the first couple of bucks I got on it, we're in broad daylight. It's in their, you're right in their kitchen, and got some really cool photos of one shedding and bleeding all over the place. It was awesome.
My only complaint, and it's not really much of a complaint, is that their picture quality isn't what I have in our previous sponsor. I'm not going to name them. That said, they didn't design it for picture quality on your phone. They designed it so that you could see if you've got a big buck. And if you've got a big buck, then it's a big buck. When you go to check the camera, it'll be on there in a 24 megapixel picture, which is absolutely incredible. It lays it down.
It lays it down on the card. It does. It's not trying to send 24 megs every time, and that's more smart engineering.
Mm-hmm.
It'll cut down on battery use.
Well, and I think that's probably why it doesn't need so much signal to make it work.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I love them, but I feel bad.
If I'm looking at it honestly, one thing that I'd like to have, and I know it's probably hard to do with the antenna, is be able to pin that antenna at a certain angle, like with a cotter pin through it or something like that to make it rigid. So
yeah,
we have so many damn raccoons. I'm afraid they'll be able to pivot that antenna at their pivot point if they really get to working with it. But that's the only thing I can complain about.
For sure. Well, Jared,
I'm intrigued.
I just put a message out on Facebook for people to text me any questions that we had the world famous Jared Larsen on the line, and I'm getting some texts in. So let's start to talk about. First, I'm going to open it up to you and just ask you to tell us, keeping in mind that we're by and large whitetail hunters that are going to be listening to this. It's nice to know that you think to a certain extent like us because you're from Wisconsin. What's new overall for onX, and then what might be the I guess what might be one of the things that a whitetail hunter could put to use the most?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean that's what goes through my mind every time I'm thinking about hunting. I'm thinking about whitetails. And so, I mean, a couple things that we've done recently at onX to really try to expand our presence, in the whitetail market is we have a dedicated GIS team, fully staffed team that we literally go to each and every county in the United States and collect our land ownership data from the source. So, that allows us to just have the most accurate, up-to-date land ownership information. And we actually just improved our processes for gathering this data. And so for the first time in our company's history, we're going to update every single county in the United States that has land ownership in a digital format. And some states are even going to see more than one update this year. So, obviously as a whitetail hunter, you're probably, odds are you're hunting on a piece of private land that you've hunted on for years, potentially decades. And so the one thing that I've really found to be probably the most key component to using onX as a whitetail hunter is just the ability to look at your property from a 10,000 foot view. You turn on a topo map and you can just so quickly realize why deer are traveling the way.
Did I lose you guys? We are experiencing technical difficulties. Please hold.
All right. You
All
guys
right.
got
Well, we got to find Clint. He's stuck in cyberspace somewhere, but I believe we probably have all of you together now. I mean, it's oh, Clint, I got your text message. Clint, are you there?
Yeah, I got you, dude.
All right, there we go. Anyway, Jared, you were saying.
Yeah. So, I mean, at the very basic, just the ability to see and break down your property from bird's eye view, just to help get an understanding of it even better than you might already have. But my main use case in the whitetail woods is, as I mentioned, the family farm in Iowa. There's 6 of us that hunt it, depending on who drew a tag when. So inevitably there's overlap, and just the ability to mark and share all of our different markups is so key to what we do. So, obviously we're dropping waypoints for every tree stand on the farm. All the trail cameras we're running. We use the area shape tool to plan out our food plots, which, you can trace your exact little food plot and it will give you the exact acreage, so you don't have to guess on seed and fertilizer. And then the ability to share all those markups. So, like, for instance, we're constantly moving tree stands, adjusting trail cameras, this, that, or the other thing. And when you go in there and do that, you can just quick shoot a text to the entire group and just say, hey, move the trail camera here. You shoot them that waypoint, and it populates that waypoint exactly on their map where you put it. So everyone can stay on the same page when you have multiple people hunting a singular property. So, that's just been so huge for our family, just in keeping everything organized and everyone on the same page.
Jared, really quick, just to clarify one quick thing so folks know that if you have shared, like let's say the 3 of us are in a group and you've shared a waypoint with Clint and I, if you decide to delete that waypoint that you've shared, it's going to go away for everyone, not just you.
Correct. So if you created that waypoint, you are the gatekeeper of that waypoint. So, anybody you share it with, they can't go on and share that with somebody else.
Right.
If you delete it or you want to take it away from them, that's entirely possible as well.
So it's kind of a don't piss me off kind of thing.
Yeah. Make sure you send it to folks you trust. There's no doubt about that. Everybody knows how sacred a good hunt spot is. But
yeah,
and
right.
then on top of that,
Sorry to interrupt. On that very note, one of my favorite uses for Onyx is just populating sign in a spot that I may not know. Like, say I'm scouting a winter area and it's a new farm or a place I haven't been to in a long time, and I'll just explode that entire map with sign rubs and beds and everything. And if you look at it from, like you said, 1,000,000 feet up, you can really see movement patterns and trends. And one of my favorite uses for that is if I'm having trouble with a buck or I just want somebody else's opinion, like somebody that's obviously not going to undercut you or whatever for you, and like one of your family members or a close hunting buddy, just having the ability to be able to bounce something off somebody else it's awesome. I love that part of it.
Yeah, it makes it more of almost like a social experience as well. You're able to strategize together over a map, which is, just super cool and fun. And some other access routes. I've laid down a track exactly how I want anybody at the farm to access a particular tree stand, and I can just share that track. That way, we're all accessing the same way. We're not blowing deer out, getting winded on the way in, or this, that, or the other thing. Really just keeps you on the same page as your hunting buddies, and that's if you're hunting private land, of course. And as you guys, I'm sure, have found, you turn on that government lands layer, and I don't care how long you've lived in any one particular spot, I'd wager to bet that you will find a chunk of public land pretty near to home that you never knew existed before, which just opens up so much opportunity.
Right, definitely.
What about you guys? How have you guys put Onyx to use?
I'll tell you another one of my favorite tricks with it if I'm really focused on a buck that I know darn good and well made it through the season, and I'm looking for his shed antlers. And we, down here in Broken Farm country, if you really want that set of antlers, there's sometimes you got to grid search cornfields, which is an absolute pain in the ass. It's miserable. It's tedious work, but you can legitimately lay down a track, and later on you can observe from, you can lay a track down on the map and later on observe and go, yeah, I was really thorough there. His orange is probably not there, or I've missed a spot. I need to go check. Or even again, with my brothers, I'll just share that map. Say, hey, dude, I covered this patch. Go try it again later, or whatever. And that really helps us kind of focus our postseason scouting efforts and shed efforts too.
Definitely.
And right along that same vein, I've used that tracking feature to grid search for poorly shot animals.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's interesting to do that on a track, especially if you know you're going to be on a challenging one, to set the tracker on and see how much ground you have or haven't covered. Most often you're surprised by how much ground you have covered in a short period of time. But I'll go a little bit different direction than you guys. I love it for a whole bunch of different reasons, but one of the things that's been super useful to me, being a land agent, and having trail cameras all over the state of Wisconsin on different listings that I have and things like that, is just being able to keep track of them all. I can just flip on my Onyx map and zoom out on the state, and I have them all in pink. And I know in the southwest part of the state where I've got my lease, and then now in Marquette County, there's going to be a concentrated amount of purple or pink dots there, but I can see all the other trail camera trail cameras that I've got all over the state. Had it not been for Onyx 2 weeks ago, I would have completely forgot about 2 trail cameras that I had up in northern Wood County, which is about an hour and a half from here, and I'm like, oh crap! I haven't checked those since mid-June, so I ran up and checked them. So,
and that kind of plays into my favorite plug of Onyx. Is it might potentially be the cheapest hunting tool you'll buy all year, like the cost of a box of shells or a partial tank of gas, and something you'll use on almost every single hunt.
Oh, definitely.
So I totally agree. Even in the off season, again, I'm not trying to put this over and sales pitch it, but when years ago, when I first wanted to keep track of all this shit, I had to go to a farm service agency, have them print me out a map, and then go to this print shop and have them blow it up and put laminate gloss over it so I could write on it with a damn dry erase marker every year. And now, God, I'm so old now. And so, you've got that technology riding around with you every second of the day in your hip pocket. And I use that thing literally almost every day. Whether we're talking strategy or marking waypoints or finding landowners or just seeing things on a different perspective. Especially with I'm not a big topo user because I live in the freaking prairie where a hill is 10 feet. So topo doesn't always hasn't always mattered to me, but I find myself using it more so now because A, it was handy on that app, and B, it allowed me to start seeing some open country contour or relief or whatever you want to call it that they would use drainages and what looks to the naked eye open, but it's more the contour is more whitetail suitable, if that makes any sense. But boy, that really does help a lot, and I'm starting to use the hell out of that. It's just a phenomenal piece.
I agree. It's something that, well, obviously in the land business, I use it every day. Sometimes it's more handy than I use another program called MapRight, which is really primarily used in the real estate industry, or if you're talking about oil and gas, or any kind of mining, you're going to use something like that. And that software is no more useful to a hunter than OnX is. As a matter of fact, it would be a waste of money because it's, quadruple the price on a monthly basis is what you would pay for OnX on a yearly basis. But so I use it every day, and the other thing is most of my clients already have it, and they're doing the same thing that I'm doing when we're out walking some new ground. Is they're looking at OnX and being able to match up contour lines, or maybe something that's notable like a pond or some wetlands or whatever the case may be. So yeah, I use it every day, and it's priceless. The only thing that I wish that they would add is driving directions to a particular spot.
Me, and everybody else.
That would be so helpful because I could just punch it in, and if they could do something and get with Apple CarPlay, that would be awesome. If I can make a request, but I mean, I can just use Google Maps. That would be fine too. But yeah, I just wish I could hit go to. But anyway, what is something or some things? You guys have recently updated quite a bit of stuff. Not so much on the desktop version, but I'm sure there's stuff on the desktop version, and I'd like you to get into that at some point. But tell us what's new on whatever the case may be, cellular or desktop.
Yeah, for sure. So for the most part, the desktop version, what we call Web Map, mirrors the app. So, the only thing that you can't do on Web Map that you can do on the app is save a map for offline use to use when you have no cell service.
Right.
You can send that map definition from the Web Map, so you can plan where you want to save maps and have that sent to your phone. That's an update that is releasing slowly as we speak. So you might not have that capabilities right now, but you will soon. But I use Web Map for a lot of just like my high level planning. It's obviously a bigger screen, and everything you create on Web Map automatically syncs to your phone app. So if you drop waypoints, if you draw an area shape when you're on web, you open up your phone app within minutes, it's going to populate on your app as well. But a couple things that we've come out with here very recently that are new is we've vastly improved our save map experience. As you guys know, there's so many places where you have spotty or no service. So the ability to just tap our offline tab, hit save new map, and then choose the resolution you want, whether it's high resolution with a 5-mile wide map, medium with a 10, or low resolution with a 150-mile wide map. The ability to just save an area that you're going, whether you have service, you're unsure if you have service. It just allows you to cover your bases and allows you to hunt confidently no matter where you are. But we've improved that whole experience as far as they save much more quickly. They now take up less download space on your phone to save space for all those trophy buck photos. And then as well as those save maps are now linked to your account. So let's say you run a phone and an iPad. Those saved maps are going to be on your iPad and your phone. All you're going to have to do is just make sure that you download them, but the definition will be there and they will be saved to your account now, which is just super handy for folks like myself that I typically keep an iPad in my truck center console just because it's easier to see as I'm driving. And then I have it on my phone and my computer and, the whole nine. Another thing we just released is 3D. So the ability to see maps in 3D on web and iOS. It's not available for Android yet, but on web and iOS, if you don't have it quite yet, that is also starting to trickle out to our customers. So obviously everyone knows how useful 3D is, to be able to pull up and really get an understanding of what that terrain is going to look like when you get there in person. So that, and then markup improvements. So recently we added the ability, you can add photos, change the colors. You can completely customize any markup you're putting on the map. And so we've just enhanced that experience. So as soon as you drop a markup, you can fully customize it right from the get-go rather than having to go back in and edit them. Just allowing you to create a much cleaner map and honestly setting ourselves up for more success in the future to build upon the product to help folks keep their map more organized through, the potential of folders that could be color coordinated, icon coordinated. So, the idea is in the future to create the ability so folks can really hone in and keep their map very clean and organized.
So that's one of the questions my phone is blowing up with. I just want to double check. Ask Jared when we might see 3D available in our area. Ask Jared when 3D is going to be available for the whole country. Ask Jared about 3D.
So 3D, we have started to trickle it out to customers, and obviously the reason we do that is we really like to hold our hat on the fact that our app is something you can completely depend and rely on. So we like to trickle these things out to make sure that they are working flawlessly for all of our customers, and you're not going to get stuck out there without the ability to use it or find a bug. So if you have not seen 3D come available for you yet, again, it's only for iOS and web right now. You will very shortly, I would say in the next week or two, it should be pretty much full blown to all customers.
Wow, everybody's pretty happy about that.
Hey,
I've been dying to use that for years or months. Excuse me. Go ahead.
One of the things that how long have you been using RX now, Jason? Do you know?
Holy 2017 or 16. Was it out, Jared, in 16? I don't think if it was out in 16, it was in its infancy.
I definitely started in 16.
Okay.
Yep. So I think the app was first released in like late 14 or early 15. At which point, that was kind of, well, I guess in my recollection, the start of the app revolution, if you will.
Right.
And obviously it's continued to be grown and iterated off of since then.
Sure.
Yeah. And where I'm going with that, Jared, is that like when I first started using it, it was awesome. And like, I thought like when it first came out, like this is the answer, like this thing is so awesome. And you guys have constantly updated that. It's never gotten worse for me. It's always gotten better, like with the updates and, just the ability to now like change your pin colors. That is so like, it helps so much when you're populating a lot of data. And there's always, every time you guys have updated it, it's always gotten more streamlined, more efficient, and there's never been a dud. Like sometimes when you update an app, it just doesn't want to work for shit and it crashes all the time and it's just crap. I've never had that thus far. Like it's been super flawless, really.
Well, that's music to my ears, Clint, because as I kind of said, like reliability and dependability is what we like to hang our hat on. And that's the exact reason why we trickle these features out to ensure that you continue with that same experience. So that's awesome to hear. And we try to build the app in a way that makes it the most user-friendly experience possible. What I always try to tell people is it can be daunting at first when you open up that app. There's all those tabs across the bottom. There's a lot going on with the map itself. But if you just sit there while you're watching TV for 20, 30 minutes and press every button you can't possibly break the thing. So just sit there and play around with it, and you are going to understand it very quickly.
Right. I wholeheartedly agree with that statement. It's not that hard. It's not rocket science. And there's probably a lot that I could use it for that I don't use it for, but I think I've got a pretty good grip on what's going on with it. One quick question, Jared. in the world that I work in daily, a lot of times people question access to this, that, or the other.
Sure.
Like right now, I know that there's a lot of buzz about landlocked public ground.
Oh yeah.
Anything that you're hearing, maybe not with respect necessarily to Onyx, but about opening that up to the public, and then if they do that, how quick are you guys going to be able to jump on to provide access to that access?
Yeah, I'm stoked you brought this up, Jason. So, actually, our founder,
in
Eric
full
Bixby,
disclosure, Justin Snedden, one of our pro staffers, asked me to ask you, but it was something that I had also written down. So, go ahead.
Oh, you just keep that credit.
Okay.
But yeah, so access is our founder. That is his highest passion, is access. And so, as I'm sure you've noticed, we've started to compile these landlocked reports. We started in the West, compiling all of the different federal and state landlocked parcels.
Mm-hmm.
And recently, in fact, in the last month, we've released a landlocked report on Minnesota and Wisconsin. And then, honestly, today, literally this morning, we just released a landlocked report on New York, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey. And so we actually have an internal access team at Onyx that we put dollars behind, of our own, obviously, to help not only spread awareness of these public lands that are inaccessible to all of us public landowners, but also to help create access to these public lands through our own internal access funds, as well as working with conservation organizations like Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation and Pheasants Forever to work with these conservation orgs who also put dollars towards these things to team up and create this access. And so this is an initiative that's only been ongoing for us for, I think, a year and a half now, or maybe 2 years. The access team has just formed 2 years ago. But it's a huge emphasis at the office, is helping us open up these lands for public access, and whether that's through easements or purchasing small parcels of privately owned land that are open up large tracts of public land, whatever the case may be, that is at the core of our mission. And as soon as those openings are happening, those will be updated in the app, and those are things that we'll continue to communicate and push for, from the Onyx side.
Cool. When you mention these reports, where are they being published, or is it just internally?
No, so yeah, they're published. We work a lot with TRCP, the Teddy Roosevelt.
Yep.
All right. So they help us with a lot of this as well, but this data can all be found at our website, onyxmaps.com. The initial landlocked report was actually covered by New York Times, USA Today had it. I mean, it was all over the place. If you search just in your Google, Onyx Maps access report, you'll find plenty of content to keep you busy with. And some of the numbers are pretty staggering. Don't quote me on this exact number, but I believe it was close to 250,000 landlocked acres in Minnesota and 55,000 landlocked acres in Wisconsin. So, even these states that are in the Midwest and the East, I think New York had close to 40,000 acres of landlocked public. It's not just a problem in the West. It's a problem all over the country. And again, that's what we're trying to do is help solve and provide a solution for that problem.
Cool. Anything, we're running out of time here quickly. We spent a lot of time on other stuff, so I feel a little bit bad. But Clint, do you have anything more you want to ask real quick?
Maybe just add one of the things, going back to the whole whitetail-centric use of the Onyx app. One of the things that really stands out to me as far as a strategy standpoint is that when I go in and I obviously scout all year round, especially really hard after the season ends, and when you can throw those buck beds or those bedding area pins down there, and you can kind of plan your route in and out during the winter.
Mhm.
I like to come back in to those spots, preseason and hit them with a camera or something and see if, was I right? And if I was, game on, let's go kill him this season. And just to being able to see it in the structure of the timber or around the edge or whatever on those pins that we blanket with is just more strategy than you could ever hope for come out of that. It's phenomenal.
Definitely, I agree.
Yeah,
It's fun to be able to see it from 50,000 feet above or a million or wherever you're looking.
it really allows you to visualize the game plan, which I'm a visual person. So like, not only does it help, but it just gets me all fired up.
Right, and it's always fun
So,
to
me
see
too.
it. Yeah, it's fun to see it
And
and have confidence in your plan.
one of my favorite times is just sitting back and bullshitting with my brothers and looking at the map like, let's go do, like it's fun, it's super fun, like having the ability to just see it like up on a laptop or something and we're all standing around, BSing with each other. Like it adds to it. It's a lot of fun doing it that way too.
Absolutely. Jared, do you have anything else you want to add?
I don't have a whole lot else. I think you boys are hitting the nail on the head. Stoked to hear you guys put the Hunt app to work. And for those of you listening, if you haven't checked it out, I'd strongly advise, go to onyxmaps.com, create an account. You'll get a 7-day risk-free trial, no credit card required, gives you full access for 7 days to check it out. And so, put the odds in your favor and check it out this fall.
All right, man. Well, thank both of you for taking the time out this afternoon to hang with me for a little bit. And with that, I think we're about done. Clint, unless you have anything, I will say goodbye.
Right on, guys. Good having you, and appreciate you coming on for us. And good luck to fall, man.
Yeah, and thanks for the support,
really
Jared.
Appreciate it.
We appreciate the support.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on, Jason, and enjoy your elk hunt in Texas. I hope a bull gets your blood boiling, and Clint, make sure you come good on that booner and get yourself on an elk hunt next fall.
All right.
There, it's recorded.
All right. Take care, guys.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
You bet. Bye-bye. Well, there you have it, another episode of the White Knuckle Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show and hope you picked up a few nuggets of information along the way that you can use down the road. I want to take just a second and thank our partner in this endeavor, and that is UC Hunting Properties. Without them, this couldn't be possible. You guys all know that I work with UC Hunting Properties, and they're actually nationwide. I would encourage you, for any of your property needs, go to www.uchuntingproperties.com. Thanks for listening. Jason out.